When you found me on the beach, I was not breathing. You thought I was dead.
I made a mistake.
No, you did not. I had been in the water for days. I am immortal. You know the difference between a dead man and a live one. On my honor, I am not lying to you.
You are truly immortal?
Aye.
Are many gaijin immortal?
No. But some of your people are.
Amazing.
So is your answer.
I say no.
Why? You love life. You love your children.
You cannot save honor with a lie.
It's Scottish Body. Welcome to Highlander Rewatch, the podcast where each and every week we talk about another facet of the Highlander universe. I'm one of your rewatchers. I'm Keith.
This is Kyle.
This is Eamon.
And welcome to our inaugural episode of the third season of Highlander, the series.
For the
That's
record,
right.
you do not have a Scottish body.
That is
You do
definitely
have
true.
a Scottish buddy,
Who's that?
Duncan MacLeod.
Duncan MacLeod. He's all our
He's
immortal
all
buddy.
of our Scottish buddy.
For a second, I thought you meant you.
I was like, are you Scottish?
I am part Scottish, I
Actually-
found out.
Welcome to the third season of Highlander Rewatched. We just finished up a 4-part series talking about Highlander 2, The Quickening.
I was damn proud of how concise we made that. Only 4 episodes about that thing.
Yeah.
It could have gone
Yeah.
on forever.
It could have gone on for 7, like with our first
Some
movie.
people were disappointed. And some people were disappointed because we didn't go for 7 episodes. And some people were disappointed because we did 4. Mainly Vince.
Thanks, Vince.
Thanks, Vince.
But we're fine. Yeah, for Vince, we're here at the Samurai. You've been clamoring for this for like 3 months.
Yeah.
Because it's actually been a while since we've talked about the series because we wrapped up
so long.
our Series 2 podcast like at the end of November.
Oh,
And then
wow.
we did a bunch of podcasts from the ill-fated LashCon convention. Those
Ill-fated
were
is
fun.
a very polite way to put it.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of fun stuff we got to do there and talk
Sure.
to the Swordmasters and amazing fans, all that sort of good stuff.
There was some good podcasting adjacent to a dumpster fire.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, you know.
And then we did Highlander 2, which took obviously a month to do. So now we're back into the thick of things with Highlander Season 3. It might be my personal favorite season.
Yeah. I mean, also, just, holy shit, this season gets good.
Oh, yeah.
This is like a
this is what we've been waiting
major
for.
benchmark in this series.
Yeah. But before we get into this, there's a couple other things that we want to talk about. There's a new Highlander convention coming up this year in October. And of course, Highlander Rewatched will be one of the places you can find out more information about it. So we're going to be releasing information as it becomes available to us. But just stay tuned to our Facebook page and the Highlander Worldwide Facebook page for all the convention details, which is going to be in LA this year. And I think there's going to be a lot of really great guests and events, and it's going to be a 3-day-long convention full of stuff to do. So it's going to be really cool.
Nice.
We're excited about it.
La La Land.
That's right. The winner of the... Oh, sorry.
Hey.
And also, Eamon, do you want to talk about another brand new Highlander thing that came out recently?
Yeah, so I put this on the Facebook page, but a new Highlander comic book is out. It's going to be a 4-issue limited series, I believe. It's called Highlander: The American Dream.
What is that name about? Also, I just
don't
want to
know.
note that the cover has a mountain of skulls on it. So is this like
Yep.
a real indictment of capitalism? Is that what this book's about?
Well, let me talk about this cover for 1 second. This
One
is
of
by
8 million covers
Yeah.
there for this book.
This cover's by Francesco Francavilla, who's actually a really good comic book artist. I like him a lot. But this is a reused cover. This was for a Mondo like Steelbook special edition DVD of the movie. So I guess IDW just like bought this image or
Right.
was given this image. A little disappointing though that they didn't really get a new piece of artwork done for the cover. I think they have one new cover.
Yeah, I'm not sure which artwork is for which cover. 'Cause
Yeah.
They released a couple covers, I feel like. I've
Yeah.
seen on the internet. There's like a bunch of these floating out there. I'm not sure which one's for
Yeah,
which.
I don't know which is the real one. But this is an IDW comic. It's written by Brian Ruckley with art by Andrea Muti and colors by Vladimir Popov. So this is out. You can buy it now on comic stands. Go out and pick it up and give it a read. And, we're going to be talking about it in the future.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about it this episode. We're going to dedicate a full episode to all 4 issues. So rather than talk about them all separately, once the series of 4 is complete, tune in to us, and we're going to have a special bonus episode about our thoughts on the 4 issues.
Yeah. And I just want to say real quick about that. For these types of comics, if you have a local comic book store and they're not carrying it, you can actually ask them to order it for you. Most comic shops will do this. That's kind of how comics are sold. Most of them are sold because you go up to the cashier and request them to special order something for you. So don't be scared. Go up there and order it.
Don't be scared by that nerd behind the counter
yeah.
wearing a Black Lantern shirt.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's relatively common if you don't see this on the stands. And there's a pretty good website you can find. I think it's called comicsdroplocator.com if you don't know where your local comic book store is. And this is also available digitally.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, is it digital?
Yeah, if you go to comicsology.com, you can get it pretty easily. So, awesome. Good stuff.
Cool. So we've got one item in the mailbag. Actually, we have a bunch of items
We've got
in
a lot in the mailbag.
But we're going to be
like
tackling
Christmas.
that in a special bonus episode, which is coming out later in the week, where we answer a bunch of reader mail about Highlander 2. So we're saving that since we have so much. But we have a little Christmas present here from one of our fans. Anyway, do you guys want to open up this little package we got here? And this is from Misty C. from Yakima, Washington.
Ooh.
Oh, my.
What do we got there, Kyle?
We have a very old school looking, well worn Highlander catalog. Super exciting.
Awesome. We
This
cannot
is
wait.
sweet.
Yeah, we can't wait to talk about this. Oh, it's got some really good stuff in it. So we've been reading from, the 1999 and 2000 catalog, as well as a pamphlet or like a brochure thing. Like,
Yeah.
It was like a poster. So anyway, this is a catalog we did not have in our collection. And Misty was nice enough to contact us. And she was like, do you guys want this? And it's like, of course. So thank you so much, and thanks for listening to the podcast. And if anyone out there has any cool like Highlander memorabilia or catalogs or kind of just weird things like this, let us know and either send it to us or take pictures and, contribute, because we're looking forward to making this part of our show. So thank you very much, Misty.
Thank you.
Yeah, this
been
is
the mailbag.
super cool. Whoop, whoop.
Mailbag.
All right, are we ready to talk about episode 1, season 3?
Yeah.
So, this is The Samurai. It aired September 6th, 1994. It's on a Tuesday. As usual, I love to look up what days these episodes
Wow.
air. It's on a Tuesday this time.
Has it been consistent, like what days these things are coming out?
Listen to our next episode to find out.
No, I'm guessing it's the answer to that.
You'll have to
I'll
wait,
have to
and
wait and see.
It could be
That's
the
right.
same.
Yeah.
It'd be amazing if it was the same. Building that suspense.
Surprise. Stay
answers-
tuned, listener.
Yep.
This
The
is going to get us
answers,
some
yes.
repeat listeners. Yeah.
One listener will stay tuned for that reason. So the director of this episode was Dennis Barry. Of course, we've seen him recently do Counterfeit Part 2,
Yeah.
Prodigal Son, Pharaoh's Daughter.
The vampire.
Oh, the vampire, the vampire.
Mostly good episodes.
Mostly
man.
good episodes, yeah.
Pharaoh's Daughter, but
Yeah.
He tends to deliver on
Yeah.
these episodes. They're always
those are some high quality
well-directed.
selections in there.
The writer of this was Naomi Jensen. She is the woman that wrote Gentle Ben 2, The Gentling. Remember her?
Gentler Ben.
Yeah, Gentler Ben. But she also wrote Studies in Light and
Run for your life.
Run for Your Life.
Yeah.
So, which were 2 very good episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is, I believe...
Hey, she's a woman. You know what I mean, Richie?
I think...
Dogs.
I think this is the last episode she wrote, I think,
Aw.
which
too
is a
bad.
bummer, before she did Gentler Ben.
Going out
Gentler.
on a high note.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. This episode guest stars Tamlin Tamita as Midori Koto. And she's in the new Teen Wolf. She's been like Law and Order, tons of other stuff. But the thing she might be most well known for, and it was her very first thing, was she is the female lead in Karate Kid 2.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's the one with the drum, right? The secret move in that one is punching
Just
someone
punching
enough-
them over and over.
again in the face.
Yeah.
Kind of like a drum.
Wow.
I love special moves in anything. That was the laziest special move I've ever seen.
I
Though
like Karate Kid 2 a
Oh,
lot.
I
actually.
still like that movie. It's just like,
Is that the one like where they're in Japan and
Yes.
there's like a storm or something?
Yeah.
I watched that in a bar with no sound.
what?
That's how I saw that movie.
Wow.
You see a lot of movies in bars.
I drink
Was that
a
also
lot.
the first time you saw like Highlander Endgame or
Yeah.
something
Yes.
like that? That was
I saw Highlander Endgame for the first time in the Khyber Pass pub in Philadelphia with no sound on.
I remember you were texting me
Yeah.
while you were watching.
I looked up and I saw Christopher Lambert and Adrian Paul on the screen at the same time, and I was like, "Oh my god!" As I was drinking expensive beers.
Yeah. Kyver's good, man.
It's great. I love it. The
Everyone-
Khyber Pass pub in Philadelphia.
Why are we giving these ads away?
This episode also stars Stephen McHattie as Michael Kent. He's in tons and tons
He's
and
in
tons of
so
stuff.
much shit.
He was in Watchmen 300. He was the voice of Shade in Shade in Justice League.
yeah.
But he's been in tons of TV. Beauty and the Beast, the old 1989 one.
Beauty and the Beast.
That's right.
He was Elaine's psychiatrist boyfriend on Seinfeld. And I was like, where do I know this guy from? And that's where I chiefly remember him from.
He's good.
Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah, he's good.
Very ominous.
And then, of course, Robert Ito stars in this episode, and he's back because we've already seen him as Johnny Leong in Revenge of the Sword. So this is another one of those classic instances where they decide to cast one of the stars of an episode as a completely different character in another episode.
Yeah.
Although this is a much better role.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
He's really well suited for this role.
Yeah.
And I didn't quite buy him as Johnny Leong in the Revenge of the Sword episode.
Because he was a shitty character.
Yeah.
In like a kind of forgettable episode.
Yeah.
I just want to say about this guy, every cartoon I watched as a kid, this guy did a voice on. I just like he was on Animaniacs, Batman the Animated Series, Darkwing Duck, Chippendale Rescue Rangers, Tailspin, Ed Grimley, Chuck Norris, Karate Commandos, The Real Ghostbusters, Gargoyles, SWAT Cats, Superman, Avatar: The Last Airbender, which was more recent. But like every cartoon I watched, he did a voice in, which is kind of nuts. And I'm also a big nerd who watches a lot of cartoons. But
Very good. And then finally, Hiro Kanagawa as Akira, the lover in this. He was on Heroes, Caprica, and I remember him as the principal of Smallville.
whoa.
Oh.
Like in the high school, he was the principal.
How about that?
So he was in like a bunch of episodes of that.
And you guys were on an episode of Smallville.
We were in the special features.
On a bonus.
Oh, okay.
and anything where they talked to us was cut out.
Yep.
It's just like a still of us in a diner, and Keith looks very intimidated by a hamburger. He's like looking at it like it's gonna bite him.
Is that why they cut it?
Yeah, that's it. I think our stories were too raw, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's time for one of our favorite segments,
Ooh.
the IMDb episode description.
Yes.
All right, guys. This episode is about a cheating wife flees her husband when he kills her lover. She turns to Duncan for help. She shows him an old spy scope. Duncan recalls when he last saw the spy scope and how he got his katana. Duncan soon discovers her husband is immortal.
What?
I love the use of the phrase, repeated use of the phrase spy scope.
Spy
So
scope.
spy glass would make sense. Spy scope?
Duncan recalls the last time he saw the spy scope. What?
That's a weird, like, also that I like that they describe her as a cheating wife. I mean, that is what she
Accurate.
does, but it just sounds like,
Yeah, it sounds really
Negative?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not good.
no,
But-
cheating wife.
All right, guys, let's hop into this episode. We should start with the opening credits. Philip Aiken is back.
Yeah.
No
I was
more
so
Maurice.
I got so pumped when the theme came on.
I know.
Like, it had been a minute, and I was like, yes, here we are.
Born to be kings.
I'm not sure about that.
So this episode opens with like a like I guess we're in like Tokyo or something.
You're
It's some
in modern
Japanese,
Japan
yeah,
somewhere.
modern Japan,
Yeah.
and it zooms in on like a hotel room, and two people are.
I assumed this was their ugly home. It's like really, their apartment is
Oh, I
like
guess it's an apartment.
nice in like a real shitty 90s way with like pink carpet.
Yeah.
I was like, this place cost a lot of money and is very ugly.
and lots of like
It's like-
vertical blinds
Yeah.
and stuff. Like,
and they have like a black leather bed awkwardly in the middle of the room. It's weird.
It's tacky, is what it
Yes.
is.
yeah,
Tacky.
See, that's how you know the villain lives there.
Yeah.
yeah.
Also, there's like vaguely offensive music in the background. Like,
Like all the Kodo drums.
yeah, it's like not, it was like weird, like kind of, this music is to let you know you're in Tokyo type
Right.
music.
these two people, I guess, have just got done with...
They were just making coffee.
They
Yeah.
were just making coffee together in bed.
Making coffee.
And so it's our heroine, Midori, and her lover, Akira.
Yep.
I don't know. He's fawning all over her, but she, I guess, seems to be feeling guilty. Like, she does not
Yeah.
want his
You never
compliments.
let me compliment you.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't deserve compliments.
She's got a raspy voice.
Yeah. That's what she sent. That was a
Midori.
clip we played.
It's from drinking all that Midori.
Yeah.
So,
Is that like a melon liqueur?
yes. It's like green.
Gross.
Michael Kent calls on the phone. It's her husband. And he's like, oh, I was headed to the airport. I left my briefcase in the closet, so I'm coming back for it. So I guess she tells Akira, like, get your shit together.
Cheese it.
You
Yeah.
got to
Yeah.
get out of here. So he goes to leave, and I guess then she checks the closet and realizes the briefcase isn't there.
That's
Then
right.
she gets suspicious because she's like, uh-oh, he's like up to some no good.
That's a trap.
Right, it's a trap.
It is a trap.
So two goons grab Akira in the hallway.
Yeah, these two white guys grab him and like drag him down to the parking garage. And we get another look at this guy, Kent. He's like he's got an intimidating face.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
He's got like a real kind of like craggy face. My notes refer to him repeatedly as Casanova Frankenstein because I couldn't remember his real name. But
I just refer to him in my notes as hubby.
hubby.
Hubby. So he pulls out a sword, and it
Yeah.
turns out he has a Muramasa blade as well. So we'll find out, because Duncan, it turns out, has the same sort of sword, which I think is important,
Yeah.
but doesn't really get explored.
From the 16th century.
Right. And so he talks about how they would test the blade
It's
strength.
kind of badass.
Yeah.
He gives like a very scary
It's
description of
awesome.
this thing.
Yeah.
Do you want to play it?
Yeah, let's play this
Yeah.
clip because it's pretty
Yeah.
rad.
This is an authentic samurai katana
Japanese
made by the
sword.
great master Muramasa in the 16th century. 30,000 repetitions of pounding and folding to make this blade. You know, they used to test the blade by lining up condemned men to see how many would cut through in one stroke. This one did 5. It's recorded under here. Truly, a labor of love.
Something bad's about to happen to Akira.
And his wife,
gonna
Midori,
talk
has
to
come downstairs
Talk to
to
me.
see this.
You should have talked to me before you started screwing my wife.
My wife.
He's gearing up for the swing, and he's out of here. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
He's a good bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was super intimidating, and
Yeah.
like his voice is great. He's got an intimidating presence. He's very tall.
Yeah, big guy. So Midori's in shock, and I guess she runs back up to the apartment, and Michael ends up back up there as well to confront her about this whole thing. So she's like, I knew there wasn't a briefcase, and like, so he calls her out, like, I killed your lover. And then he gets like fucking gross, and he's like, make love to me
like-
now.
Yeah.
You can never leave me. Never. Make love to me.
Yeah.
I just have just like a bunch of sad faces after that. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, this guy's very rapey.
Midori decides to stab Kent
Yeah,
back.
she has
while-
like a sword hidden or a knife hidden.
Yeah. I think the music in this scene is like really great. Like it's really like all these like kind of cranking sounds, and I don't know. I think the music in this whole episode actually is pretty top notch.
Yeah.
It's really cool. All the Kodo drums that are playing, and it's got a lot of energy to it. It's good stuff.
Yeah, I like the drums a lot. Remind me of the Akira soundtrack, the anime movie, because that has
Fitting.
a lot of those drums. That's right.
Yeah.
In that as well.
All right, so now we cut, and we're back into the gym.
The gym.
I'm super pumped to see Charlie.
It
dojo.
does feel like Charlie just like burst into somebody's apartment. Everyone's like, "Oh, Charlie!" Like, but my notes is just like, "Oh, it's so good to see Charlie again."
I know.
Like, I don't know what it is. I love this guy. Like,
Him and Mac crush it every
their
time they're on screen
chemistry
together.
is so much better than like the average chemistry between Richie and Mac. That like,
Yeah.
I don't know. They just like they work. But Clay Aiken just like Clay Aiken.
Clay Aiken.
Yeah.
Philip Aiken.
Philip Aiken.
Clay Aiken.
I find just like his presence on screen is just like kind of really warm. I don't know. He's great.
And a lot of times on this show, we talk about the bromance between Charlie and Mac. And so I think we got to play this clip because I don't know if anyone noticed this line.
Oh God, yeah.
You son of a bitch.
Predator.
Jenny. Welcome back. Good to see ya.
Good to be back, Charlie.
Yeah, well, you're looking pretty good.
Yeah, you too.
Now
I thought
kiss.
the doctor said take it easy.
Well, he also said all the parts work.
He gets
That
so
is-
geared up,
That's really flirty. Like
and they are like looking at each other.
they're
up and
gonna
down.
go
they're like-
upstairs and fuck right now. I'll say like, you son of a bitch.
Oh,
Predator.
So Mac has been gone in Paris for like 6 months. This is the first time they've seen each other in a long time. And so Charlie is like, you've got a visitor like waiting for you in your office. And so I was like, hold on 1 second. Like, how did this all work out? And it's Midori who's come to visit him. So at this point in the scene, the logic of it is, one, this woman shows up and obviously has talked to Charlie. And she said she's there to see Mac. So two, Charlie must have said something like, oh, well, he's in Paris and he's not around. And then she was like, you know what? I think I'm just going to wait in his office and wait for him. Like, why is she still there?
well, maybe Charlie knew he was coming back.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's like this is the first time they've seen each other, but he knew he'd be back today, or like would
That
be
makes
dropping
sense.
by.
Maybe?
No,
Yeah.
that makes sense because otherwise it makes zero goddamn sense.
I'll just wait in his office.
That's the way I was
yeah,
thinking.
yeah.
So
You
she's
know,
just going to chill out.
Path of least resistance.
Yeah. Well, she has nothing
Humans
else
sometimes
to do.
communicate their plans to each other before they appear randomly.
No, they don't.
Sometimes, every once in a while. Actually, this entire recording session was like spontaneously put together.
Yeah.
We all just happened to show up at this place at this time, and there just so happened to be recording equipment set up. So, like, fuck it. We also just so happened to see these episodes of Highlander, so let's go.
That's right.
There we go.
By
All right.
chance.
So Mac and Midori go upstairs, and they're talking in his loft. Mac's making some tea and says some coffee, which is good. So he's making tea to impress, obviously, because if he made coffee, she'd bounce.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, you're not good at this, or he's very good at it.
Oh, I just wanted to say the first time he sees Midori, he has like a weird flashback to a woman in a kimono.
Oh, that's
for
right.
like just a second.
Yeah. Mac is wondering why she is there, and she hands him a telescope.
Or a spy
Or a
lens
spy-
or whatever
a
they
spy
spy
scope.
glass.
Spy scope.
Yeah.
Yeah, spyglass is what is a real thing. That is a word for this. Spy scope is
Spy scope is a item you can get in Siphon Filter.
really.
No, I don't know.
I used to play those games. I love those.
They're good.
So Mac says this spy scope represents a promise made to the Kodo family over 200 years ago that the Kodos could always come to the MacLeods when they needed help. So we get a flashback.
Japan, 1778.
Yeah, we get a title card, which is nice.
Yeah, which seems to be a trend in this season.
Yeah, which is very good.
Yeah, but Mac is washed up on the beach along with some boat bits.
Gotta get this boat bits.
Yeah.
I like boat bits on my salad.
Yeah.
Robert Ito, Koto,
Yeah,
comes
Hideo
over,
Koto.
and he finds Mac, and it looks like he's dead. He like
Yeah.
rolls him over, and then a bunch of like samurais or these goons show up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're like samurai or just warriors.
Yeah, and they
something.
start
Yeah.
fighting Robert Ito.
For some reason.
For some reason. I don't
Yeah.
know what's going on.
Yeah.
But then I guess Mac is revived, presumably because he got turned over
Yeah.
by Robert Ito. So he's not drowned anymore.
I guess,
and then
yeah.
he kind of helps Robert Ito. The
Yeah,
choreography.
Robert Ito does most of the work.
Yeah.
like they almost like play up at this point how kind of like clumsy Duncan is. Like
Yes.
he's like tripping in the water. Like his like footwork is all lousy.
Yeah.
but like he still holds his own. But
Yeah.
they're definitely teasing that he's got a lot to learn.
Yeah. This is like the big turning point for Mac in general in the whole series, I'd say.
Like the arc of his character.
Because he's a pretty stoic character in the present day, especially like in season 1, we saw him as like
Outlandishly
uncomfortably stoic.
Yeah.
Like, but this is kind of him becoming kind of grown up. So
This
to
is the
speak.
transition from barbarian Duncan, which
Right.
he's referred to as barbarian multiple times in this, which I find very satisfying. But
Right.
like the transition from barbarian Duncan to modern Duncan.
Yeah, Hideo chops Mac's sword in half at some point,
Which is awesome.
Which is awesome, and it's I guess to show how great his sword is and how crummy
Yeah.
Mac's sword is.
We should also mention Hideo's sword is Duncan's sword.
Yes, this is the dragon head
Yeah.
katana.
Interesting.
Hey Keith, have you heard about the amazing promotion that we're running?
You mean the one about starting season 3?
Yeah, that one.
What's the promotion?
As a special gift for starting our season 3, you can get 30% off on our sweet, sweet Highlander magnets.
That's a number that starts with 3, like the season.
Oh, what thematic pairing. If you haven't seen them yet, Keith, what kind of amazing magnets can you get from us?
We have an awesome 5-piece magnet collectible set done by resident artist Eamon, featuring 5 of the characters from the Highlander television show. We've got Duncan MacLeod, Amanda, Joe, Mythos, of course. We're meeting in season 3. Woo! And a very special Highlands warrior Duncan, which is really cool.
They're all rad. By checking out these magnets, you're not only supporting this podcast, you're supporting local artwork and your favorite rewatchers. So, keep this fandom alive, support these magnets, and get 30% off while you're at it.
Yeah, 30%. And this is a limited time offer. This deal is only running for 2 weeks, so make sure to head over to our Facebook page. And again, this deal is only available on our Facebook page. 30% off for these 2 weeks. So click on the Shop Now button and pick up your magnet set today and display your fandom in style. So then we cut back to the present. Midori's like, oh, that promise was made by your ancestor like 200 years ago. And Mac is like, time doesn't like weaken a vow or whatever. Unless you're
a murderer?
A murderer in, what's this, Dracov in Warmonger. Because
Yeah,
fuck you.
then
you're
time
dead.
does weaken it.
That is a great point that I didn't think about.
Right?
I was thinking about that a lot, especially because she comes right out and tells him what she did, like,
Yeah.
oh, like, I'm a killer.
Yep.
Right. Interesting.
And Mac's like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, that's okay. Whatever.
That's all right.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Going downstairs, I guess Mac tells Charlie that he's got to hop off to Japan to help Midori out with this whole situation. There's a weird bit of ADR dialogue because Mac is like, oh, I'm heading off to the land of the rising sun. Did you notice this? Like, for some reason, they had to re-record this dialogue. And I was trying to think, what could it have been? And my only guess is it's the land of rice and something else. And they thought that was not appropriate. I can't figure out what the other thing would be. But I can't figure out why it's ADR'd. Unless there was just some weird problem with the audio.
It's
Yeah,
probably
maybe.
that.
Yeah.
Because why would they say that?
It's so strange. Like, I had to watch it like 4 times. I was like, why is this ADR? Like, it seems out of place. But
That's weird.
yeah. I also just want to mention there's a lot of like touching with Mac and Charlie during this, like when they're like, he's like, can you watch after the dojo? And they're constantly touching each other. I'm just like, if they were married, I'd be like, sure, that's what this is.
Maybe they were. Maybe they were.
So, Eamon, what happens next?
Midori's going to her hotel room, I guess, to get her shit. And then who appears but dead husband, Michael, whatever his name is.
Kent.
Kent. Not Kemp.
Michael Kent.
Yeah, he is alive, and we find out now that he is immortal. Mac gets the buzz, and it's like, uh-oh.
Right.
Yeah.
Of course, she's, like, suitably freaked out
Yeah.
because she's quite confident that she killed him.
I was a little confused at first. Did anyone think this was in Japan?
I did.
I did too.
It took me a second to... It wasn't until, like, much later he comes back and sees Charlie, and Charlie's like, I thought you were going to Japan.
Yeah.
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 Like, I thought she was headed back up to that apartment that she normally stayed at or
Yeah,
whatever.
that's what I thought it was, too.
Yeah.
I was pretty confused.
Yeah, apparently I was looking at the script. There's like a bit of cut dialogue that was supposed to be here that would have clarified it. And I guess when Mac is waiting in the lobby, he's on a payphone and he's ordering the tickets to Japan. So that would have let us know where we are. But yeah, I just assumed we were in Japan at this point.
Yep. Kent sees them together, and he does kind of like a Batman disappear thing,
Right.
which is kind of cool.
Because he throws a smoke pellet.
Yep.
Vanishes.
After Commissioner Gordon asks him a question.
Yeah. Harvey Dent. Can he be trusted?
So I guess back at Mac's place, Midori can't, like, she's like, I know I killed him. And he makes up some sort of excuse. Like, well, you probably just missed a vital organ or something.
Yeah.
But
There's
Mac,
some
of course, knows what's up.
Japanese saying for that
Did
I didn't
anyone look
write
this
down.
up?
Onitata.
Onitata.
Means big demon.
What?
That's what my research found.
What about
Big
I wrote Onidata.
Onidata.
I wrote Onitata.
I got nothing.
One means big demon, the other means big omelet. That's not true at all.
Your answers would have said huge omelet, bro.
So then we cut to Kent's yacht, which I guess is in Seacouver, and we find out later that he like keeps a boat there.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
He wants to find everything out about MacLeod.
Right.
How
This
much he's worth. Do-do-do-do-do.
What he had for breakfast. Who
Yeah.
did he have breakfast with? It's like he should call up what's her name from the European Tribune.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Because she knows who everyone's
You
had
have
breakfast
breakfast
with and what they're eating, all that stuff.
Just reminded me of the Sea Witch. Like,
Yeah, it does.
It's cold.
the Sea Witch.
This is one of the first, or I mean, I guess there's been some others, but one of the first immortals that we've met that doesn't know who Mac is. at all.
Yeah,
like
that's
most
a
of them
good
are
question.
like, oh, the Highlander, and it's
Yeah.
like this guy's like, I don't know what his deal is. Find out what the skinny is.
Yeah, this is like just a chance encounter.
Yeah, they've got no beef ahead of time.
Kobe beef.
So we get some clarification from Midori on her situation with Kent back in Mac's loft. She explains that I guess her family was like losing money, or the business was. Mm-hmm. Oh, and I guess they were also going to build. They wanted to tear down the family shrine. As well.
Right, they were going to lose the land, and the shrine would be taken down. But Kent is obviously very wealthy. He stepped in to like lend them a whole lot of money that they weren't going to be able to pay back. So she married into his family.
Yeah, and so Mac is like, money has nothing to do with honor. Interesting. We'll talk about more about this down the road.
And she's like, doesn't it? Like, they were going to she's like, doesn't it? They were going to, like, destroy my family's legacy if we didn't have the money.
Yeah.
So we get another flashback. This is an odd transition, by the way. There's a cutout of her body that it, like, zooms in on.
Yeah, it's odd.
They've never done a transition quite like this.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't, like, hate it or anything, but it's not
interesting.
It's
Yeah.
not par for the course, I guess.
But Mac is sparring with Hideo in some, I guess it's karate. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's like, it's so delightful seeing the table turned. Like, I just kept thinking about like the Richie montage in Eye for an Eye, where he's getting like the crack kicked out of him by Mac. Get up, come on! And just Mac getting just like housed.
Yep.
And he's like, he thought he was going to teach him something by showing him the noble art of boxing. Like,
Right, yeah, that's really funny. Also, like, a side note about, like, the flashbacks in general. Like, all the flashbacks, I think, are really great, but, like, I feel like most of the episodes we've seen in the past that are the Seacouver episodes, they tend to flash back to, like, Seacouver. Like, they're always, like, American flashbacks, or wherever Seacouver is. I think this gives, like, a great scope to this episode, that, like, the flashbacks, even though it's, like, filmed at on some beach in Vancouver, like, it does, I'm like, I buy that this is Japan, so it gives this big, like, global expanse to this episode. And even, like, they just throw in some, like, shitty stock footage of Tokyo in the beginning. Like, this episode does feel bigger, I think, than
Definitely.
which is really nice, I think.
yeah, this is like
Success.
This is quality.
Yeah. So good training sequence.
Yeah, Mac just gets like housed and is not holding his own.
And a woman is kind of watching from afar that catches Mac's eye.
Mm-hmm.
And her name is
It's Maya.
Maya. That's right.
Is that really a Japanese name?
It's spelled M-A-I-A.
Like, I know Mai is a Japanese name. I don't know if Maya is. I meant to look that up and then I forgot to.
It might be.
Yeah, I don't know.
So then we get some more training, and Hideo is showing Mac how to, like, swing his sword properly.
Yeah, to properly use the katana. I love that he's like, is this swordplay or poetry?
Yeah.
Both.
Both.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is good stuff.
It's also revealed that Mac can never leave Hideo's home base here.
Right, because I guess the emperor, or not emperor, the lord of the land, this is the shogun, has, like, forbid all barbarians.
Yeah.
So if he leaves, he will be caught and killed.
Yeah.
Bad news.
Yeah.
Well, it was like historically closed until like American ships came and were like, hey,
Is that Commodore Perry?
yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
hey, we will blow up your country if you don't
Yeah.
start trading with us.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. Like, whoops.
Yeah.
The set here is particularly beautiful. Like, they're on, like, water and there's this weird bridge.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's a good location.
As Hideo's talking to Mac at the very end, he just kind of, like, adjusts his sword in his, like, sword belt. There's an actual name for it that I don't know, but I thought that was funny. He, like, straightens it.
That's good. So I guess Hideo needs to, like, run some errands or shit, and so he just leaves. He's like, hey, like, my daughter will take care of you. So we have not mentioned at this point that Maya is played by the same actress that plays Midori. How do we feel about that?
I don't care that much. It's a little weird.
I actually like it.
I liked it too. It also explains the weird cut, like, flash he gets.
Yeah.
When the first time he sees her, it's like he's having a memory that's triggered by her kind of uncanny resemblance to this ancestor that
Right.
she's seen. I think it helps kind of like tie the whole thing together and explain some of Mac's like emotional connection to the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm into it. I think it works well to just kind of, it's a nice thread through the whole thing. They also pull something, if I remember correctly, like this in Highlander 3. I feel like the love interest in that also plays his love interest
Yeah.
in a prior life, which I also kind of like that, because it's like, it's not about her looking the same, but it's about you getting the same kind of emotional response from his previous love and his current love. It helps you connect to both a little bit better. Anyway, that's what's going on here. So Mac is in a bath.
And he's singing, and women
this
barging.
is great.
Yeah.
Also, like they have to teach him how to bathe.
Right,
And
I
it's
get-
like, just comedy ensues.
Yeah, no, this is a great scene. I guess the Japanese custom would be you would bathe outside of the bath, like you would scrub yourself down, and then get in the bath to soak, so you're not soaking in like dirty water.
Makes sense to me. This is where your quote from the beginning of this episode comes from.
Oh, did it?
He's like, well, she's like, this is not how the Japanese bathe. And he's like, well, this is a Scottish body. And there's also some great line about how he does so know how to bathe. He bathes once a month.
Right.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah,
I
that's
like
good.
how outraged he is. It's really funny.
So then after this, Mac gets dressed in a robe, which he really is digging. He's like, I could get used to this. And she, I guess, is feeding him like lunch or whatever, and it's a meal of sushi, which Mac has never had. So again, comedy ensues as the barbarian tries to use chopsticks, which is really funny. He eats raw octopus, which is not raw octopus at all. It's cooked. Raw octopus is rough, man. That is chewy.
Chewbacca.
It looks like raw octopus. Then he eats it. It is raw octopus.
He makes a good face. Yeah, this is like good stuff. When Adrian Paul, the fact that Adrian Paul was not funnier, and it's not because of him, it's because of the script. Like that season 1, he was so stoic. Like Adrian Paul is legitimately like, I think he's got pretty good comedic timing most of the time. Like he's good physically. He's like, he makes goofy faces.
Yeah.
The mark of any good actor.
Yeah.
Makes
Yeah,
goofy
goofy
faces.
Expert
faces.
actor.
Yeah.
Lots of goofs.
Yeah. But no, I think he's good in both of these scenes. Like
Yeah,
he's
he's
great at
great.
playing like this fish out of water character.
Yeah. Hopefully we can see more of this in his present day persona.
So Mac is going to go kind of investigate what's going on. So he asks Charlie, he goes to Charlie and he's like, Charlie, can I ask you like a big favor? Can you like watch Midori? And I was like, a big favor? Like Charlie has taken bullets for you. He's been watching the dojo for 6 months. It's like, this is
small
this
favor.
is no big deal at all.
This is peanuts
Right.
compared to the price you've extracted from
Yeah.
Charlie.
Charlie's been beaten like practically to death in the zone, like for Mac, like
Yeah.
all this crazy stuff. It's like, oh, I gotta ask you this huge favor. Can you please watch this woman?
Which, of course, it results in another beating for Charlie, as we'll
Yeah.
find out.
Yeah.
So maybe Mac was right to be like, hey,
Yep.
I'm going to ask you a par for the course favor where you get the shit beaten out of you.
So back on Kent's boat, we get an amazing scene of ADR with one of Kent's goons.
This
Oh,
guy's voice.
it's
yeah.
Yeah.
And this voice, who is this voice? Obviously, they're not credited at
Yeah.
all. But, like, we've heard this guy's ADR before, and I can't figure out what other character this is.
Is this the cop guy, Darius?
That's who I thought it
This is-
could
yeah,
have been.
Darius.
Darius.
Let's get back in the car now.
Very strange ADR doubling.
Yeah. But this scene also, just as a comment to the whole episode, like, I don't know if it's because it's the very first episode in the season, so they had maybe some extra time. I feel like the editing in this episode is, like, spot on. Like,
Yeah.
the pacing is really nice. Like, there's actually, like, a fair, I would say a fair amount more edits in this episode than there are most of the time. It just feels really good. And then we get this bizarre zoom in to, like, a water tank, like an oil thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With like
what
some
is
sound
this?
effects. My only guess is, do you think there was another flashback planned?
And that was the dissolve
and
into
that
it?
was the dissolve, like to the ocean or something.
Yeah,
Because
maybe.
it's very strange. It zooms in on this thing and then just zooms out. And I was like, this is a David Lynch movie. Like we were just,
We're just gonna
a
zoom in on
random
weird
object.
things.
Yeah. Well, I liked this, and also like I thought this was like really thematic and kind of cool. But then I'm also like, but if we're like actually taking apart what this is, it's like somebody like looking at a like prop that they bought from like Office Depot. It's like something that's going back and forth, and it just has like blue water
goo in it.
Yeah, you gotta get that blue goo.
But I kind of liked it. It was like kind of ominous. They play like
Yeah.
ocean noise. It could be just like somebody watching that bird that like dips down into
Those little mercury birds.
the water. Yeah.
No, I agree. Like the ocean sounds, it does feel very ominous.
Yeah.
Like it gives some great mood to the scene, but it's utterly strange.
And then when MacLeod walks into the room, like it takes its time a little bit, and he like comes in from the shadows,
Yeah.
and it's like this episode in general is just a little bit more like I don't know thematic or something
Yeah,
in its
it is.
editing. It works, but it's kind of silly
It's
at
funny
the same time.
you bring that up. In my notes at this point, I just have, at this point, I am realizing this is absolutely the best Highlander episode we've seen, right? I think.
Yeah,
Yes.
Like, I think even,
so.
I mean, it's been years since I've seen this episode, and it's always been a top, but it's like,
Yeah.
wow, like halfway through the episode, it's clear that this is like,
Just the overall quality and mood is
Yeah.
so much higher. Like
Yeah.
it just feels like such by almost an order of magnitude, a more polished piece compared to some of the episodes that have come before it. And unfortunately, also compared to some that will come after.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
you know, just like it really shows the level of refinement that this show can hit.
Right.
It's funny you say that, Keith. I just want to say, like, I watch this at home, and I have roommates, so occasionally they have to watch a Highlander episode with me, and they've seen some of the worst episodes of this show, and they're like, why do you spend time doing this? Like, after, like, watching The Zone. That was one of the ones they had to watch. My one roommate watched this episode with me, and he was like, this is, like, the best episode of this show I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like, unsolicited comment. So I think that just speaks
Definitely
to how good this is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I will also say, the shit Highlander episodes are like half the fun.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like-
we have a blast
Yeah.
talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
they're a part of what makes this thing special.
Yeah,
Sure.
but when people ask, at least me personally, like, why do you like Highlander? Like, this is an episode, like, I'm never like, oh, I like it because it's, like, cheesy 90s stuff. I mean, like, I guess I can kind of say that now. Like, that holds a special place in my heart. But
Sure.
it's like, this is the real reason I think
Yeah.
Highlander stands the test of time and should, and, like, people should like this show because of stuff like this. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
So we actually get a pretty interesting conversation about honor in this scene because Mac explains that he made a promise to the Kotos to protect them.
Michael's saying, like, well, I'm her husband.
Right.
Like,
And my honor has actually been damaged because
Yeah.
of this scenario. Like, she was
Yeah.
cheating on me.
She cheated on me and then she tried to kill me. And
Yeah.
like, granted, I killed him, but like for him, that's also about his honor.
Yeah. So this is good stuff. It's getting a little complicated here.
And it's also just good because there's like, it is just, I think this is why they focus, just thinking about like thematically and symbolically, why they focus on that little ocean office max thing, because it's like an oil and water thing. It's like an imperfect mixing. And it's like these characters, it's followed immediately by this interaction where there is no reconciling these two. And
Right.
that's, and the way the conversation ends is amazing. Mac's
Yeah.
just like, look, like, if you're going to go after her, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
And that is it. Like, we're done here.
Yeah.
Your move.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. 'cause,
yeah.
you know,
That's a good insight about the Office Max toy. I like
I was like, I don't know. I was really trying to think of why, because I wrote that down too. I was like, what is this thing?
I
Like,
think you're right. I think that might be what
I
it
think
is.
that's like
yeah.
the little symbol they tried working into it. I do also agree, though. I think there was supposed to be a flashback there. But anyway, this conversation's like great. And I think this taps into something that is a common criticism that we raise, that this episode does better, but I think could be even better still, which is just to say, this guy's not that evil. He's definitely evil.
Right.
They make him evil.
Yeah.
But he is, in the way he deals with Mac, he is less evil than a lot of the people we see him interact with. And this conversation's like very rational. They have different interests. And I wish, frankly, I wish this guy was less evil than they presented him being. Like, make this be purely a dispute about like honor and just like a difference of opinion and like difference of priority that leads them into conflict. But like they do extra things to make him sleazier and like scummier. So you feel good about him getting.
Well, I think they have to. It's this weird balance they have to, because you're right. That is a common criticism we bring up about this show, is that like they don't let the bad guys be like gray enough. Like they're always like super evil, because he obviously like is up to no good. Well, he's like a misogynist. He's gross. He also has goons for some reason. Like it's like
Yeah.
that can't be
Good guys don't have goons.
Yeah, no,
Right.
there's no goons.
Good guys don't have goons.
They have crews.
I like that.
Yeah, they crew up.
Yeah, they crew up. They don't.
That'd be a
goon
good
up.
T-shirt. Good guys don't have goons.
But I think wrapped up in this is they also have this problem with infidelity in the episode. So if they make him an okay guy, like I feel like we give a little sympathy to Midori for cheating on him, because Akira seems like a nice guy. He's complimenting her, like, whereas like Kent does not compliment her at all.
No,
he's
he
like
possesses
Yeah,
her.
he possesses her. Where
Yeah.
Akira seems to love her and he's affectionate towards her. And so it's like, oh, we understand like her husband is garbage, so she has found this man that does legitimately love her. For me, at least, like I kind of sympathize more with her, and I don't cast her infidelity as villainous in any way. The cheating wife, like that term.
Well,
in
it's like the shit they always do in rom-coms.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
They always inevitably break up with the person they're not, in quotes, not supposed to be with. So they have to make that person like an inconsolable asshole.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that like you can celebrate the breakup as opposed to like mourning the fact that,
Yeah.
you know, somebody's going to be really hurt by it.
So I think that's a little bit of play here, is that he's
Well-
bad, so we're okay with her cheating on him.
Like, they kind of have to make him a murderer in this instance, I think, because if Matt kills him, then Mac's just a monster. Like, killing her husband just for being like a misogynist isn't okay. But it's like
being a misogynist is bad, but like it's not a murder-worthy offense.
right. But like this guy being a murderer makes it kind of okay for Mac to chop this guy's head off.
Yeah.
But they do kind of have to amp it up. If he was abusive, that's a different story. That might kind of put it back into maybe it's not so bad that.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
It's tricky.
Yeah. Also, I want
We should come back to this at the end because I have more thoughts.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Yeah.
like this is a great episode. I am convinced it could be 20% better. Like,
Yeah.
All right.
I'm carving that position out now based on some of the things we've said.
There's definitely good stuff to talk about at the
We will
end.
cycle back.
Before we leave the yacht, I wanted to say two things.
Yes.
Before he makes the goons leave, he says, "Wait, don't go that way. Go out the back way." And I'm like, "They're on a boat."
They actually just dive into
Yeah,
the water.
that's what I was like. Do they have to like swim away?
They get into a dinghy.
And the other thing is, he says that the dojo, is on the east side of Seacouver. So I'm like, oh, there's an east side of Seacouver?
I guess so.
And then when he says they have a dojo, Michael Kent's just like, a dojo. Excellent. And I'm like, why is that excellent? Like, oh, yes, a dojo.
Maybe he wants to possess the dojo.
I guess.
He's going to kill Mac and take
I
the
just-
dojo.
That's
thought
usually
that was
gets
weird.
all of his real estate.
And that's how talented this actor is, because he just says that poorly written line, and it's like, "Ooh, I'm getting the chills." Like,
Yeah. You know, I didn't stop. Like, I think it's just because of his delivery.
Yeah.
I did not actually stop to think like how silly that is. In
Yeah,
the vacuum,
yeah.
But like he like sells
he's
it
amazing.
somehow.
He's great.
Yeah, nothing but kudos for the performances
Yeah.
in this episode.
Outstanding.
So Mac arrives back at the dojo to Charlie getting pummeled, and he just like sits back and watches.
Yeah.
this
It's really
fight.
funny. And Charlie is like legitimately kicking butt. I mean,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
Mac level butt kicking, but you know, Charlie's a badass.
So I was thinking, as I do, trying to insert some bit of irony into every fucking frame of this thing. Like in a TV show, this scene is really funny. Like Mac's a smartass. He lets Charlie get beat up. If this was real life and you watched a friend, like even though he was winning, like I'd be like, you fucking asshole.
Yeah.
Like, you let me do that. I could have been killed. Like,
Yep. Wah,
That's
wah.
that's really funny. Yeah, that's a great point. Like,
Also, Charlie is like just recovered from being shot,
Shot.
in the heart. Like, like he almost died, and now he's getting like the shit kicked out of him. And Mac's just like, bum, ba, bum, ba, bum, ba, bum, 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 bum.
Sing the blues. So they go upstairs to check on Midori, and she's gone. And at first, Charlie thinks like there must have been another goon that like snuck in behind him. Not true. She left on her own accord.
yeah. Also, I want to point out something that Charlie indicates after getting his butt kicked. It's like, man, you're going for 6 months. I didn't even get a hangnail. Like, you come back and I'm getting like pummeled by these goons. And it's like, hey, you know what? This is a corrosive friendship for you, Charlie.
Oh, yeah.
It's not good for your health.
It's life threatening. Like,
So I guess Charlie picks up the spy scope.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, what's this? And Mac is like...
He looks like a little kid, and we get like a great transition.
Yeah, so it transitions through the spy scope. Calling it a spy
Spy
scope
scope.
is insane.
I mean, it's like false Tessa. We gotta use the language of these IMDb descriptions.
So we're back in Japan, and Mac gives this spy scope to Hideo. And I guess he explains it's a Western invention, and he shows him kind of how to use it. And just at this moment, there happen to be some, like, riders in the distance that Hideo spots. I guess he goes out to greet them and leaves Mac behind.
After they have like a cultural communication moment where Mac is so impressed with the sword and it's so great and like what craftsmanship, and then, you know, he sees the spyglass. He's like, oh, I had no idea that, you know, you barbarian Westerners could make something,
Yes.
you know, so precise. And they have a nice little cultural exchange.
Yeah. I did kind of wonder historically in this scene, were telescopes and things like that introduced to Japan at this
Yeah,
point?
I wondered about
I don't
that,
know, because
too.
I feel like this is not too... What year is this supposed to be? 1798 or something like that?
it's like 1778.
Okay. I mean, that's pretty late in history, I think. Like, this is an old invention.
I
So
don't.
I kind of wondered if it had made its way over
Probably
there.
not as old as you're thinking, though.
Yeah.
This is like Galileo kind of stuff. This is not like 1 BC technology.
Right. I don't know my Japanese history. Like I used to actually read about samurai stuff, and I just can't remember it anymore. But I mean, I know Japan did kind of open its borders to the world relatively late.
No, it wasn't. I mean, that wasn't until like the 19th century.
Yeah.
Because they were forced to do so by.
Right.
Right, because they were isolationists for quite a while.
Yeah, and in this period, it was like very much so. You shut down. It's a self-contained island, effectively.
I'm sure one of our Facebook followers knows. It might be an interesting piece of information to have.
Yeah. So then Mac goes and has a tea ceremony with Maya. And this is a pretty good scene. I guess Mac is asking, like, why do you hate me so much? Because, like, she is constantly just, like, throwing shade at Mac.
Yeah.
Oh, can I drink the tea now? Do whatever you want. Like, fuck off. Like, she doesn't give a shit. Like, she's just there to, like, babysit Mac. Because he's a barbarian. And so he explains that Hideo is his friend. And she's like, well, what is a friend to you? And Mac is like, a friend is, like, a valuable thing. Like, you would give your life for a friend. Maya is like, well, then my father is the greatest friend because he is giving his life for you. Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah.
So then this kind of plot unravels that I guess by taking in Mac, he has given himself a death sentence because he has sheltered a barbarian. And so the Lord is not happy with that.
Yeah. I mean, is it because he sheltered a barbarian or because when the Shogun's, like, warriors galloped up to him for no reason, he pulled out his sword and, like, fought two of them and killed them?
That's my question, too, is what was that initial attack
I think
about?
that was unrelated.
Unrelated.
I think that's completely unrelated. I don't think those are like the Shogun's guy, because also they're not in the same colors. People who rode up had like this red banner.
Oh, okay.
That looked different.
So they were just bad dudes.
Yeah,
Some
maybe
bad hombres rode up.
Yeah, some bad hombres rode up. Because during this, I mean, like individual like warlords in different territories would fight all the time, and like
Sure.
it's I think unrelated struggle.
So Mac rushes to Hideo's side, who's now in like, I guess he's trimming a bonsai tree in this kind of rice paper room.
The Shogun has allowed Hideo to take his own life instead of being executed.
Right, because that would be honorable. So this is the clip we played at the top of the episode, but Mac has a pretty smart idea. I don't think this section was included in the clip we played, but Mac has the idea that he's going to like spill the beans about being immortal, and he's like, no, you should kill me in front of them to like prove your loyalty and that like, whatever the scheme is. Maybe I forced you to hold me here or something like that. And then you'll be free to go and I will actually live. So he explains what immortality is. I think it's a pretty smart move.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a clever plan. But of course, the entire point that's being reinforced about this whole thing, it's like, no, like, I've dishonored myself by doing this thing. I can't fix it by, like, breaking the rules. I can't fix that dishonor by lying about it.
Right.
And that's, interesting and is kind of like the central theme of this entire thing. Like, that is, like, the ultimate lesson that Mac learns out of this whole thing.
Yeah, honor is clearly a personal thing, not a public. Like, no matter what you do, if you lie, it doesn't matter because like you have to be on. You hold your code of honor to yourself, not to others.
Right.
Also, interesting point here. Mac, when he's explaining the immortality thing, he was like, "Oh, I was in the water for days when you found me," and so then I was like, "What does a body look like when it's in the water for days?" Don't Google it, everyone.
Oh God. Really?
Yeah, it's like a sponge.
Oh.
Perks of immortality.
Yeah, so I guess he comes out okay. Or would he have been some bloated, gross,
Apparently not.
transparent-looking sponge, man? Disgusting.
And this is when they kind of make their pact.
Yes, Mac promises he will always take care of his children or protect them if they need it.
And he also agrees that he will help his friend commit, like ritual suicide to satisfy this punishment.
Yeah, so he'll be his second. And so then it's a very moody scene. It's like there's lightning outside. It's very dark. And Hideo, I guess, stabs himself in the gut. And then I guess to alleviate his pain, I guess that's like the tradition is that then Mac can just kill him outright to alleviate any suffering.
Yeah, after they do like the killing stroke, somebody else chops their head off.
Right.
To finish it, I guess.
The seppuku.
Yeah.
So Mac ends up considering this an honor in the end. And also something I thought that was very interesting about this is the move he does is literally the move Hideo taught him. Like this is the same stance, this like downward strike. So it's actually kind of like an interesting kind of cyclical thing in the story is that Hideo teaches Mac what will end up being his like killing stroke.
Yeah.
Which is good.
That makes sense.
That's pretty cool. And also, part of the deal is Mac gets the sword when he's done.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of great world building here. Like this fleshes out this character so much, and really crystallizes a lot of like the Mac motivations and all that stuff.
The machinations, if you will.
Yummy.
Hey, Rewatchers. March is a very special month because it is the Try Podcast month.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, for people who haven't heard of it, Tripod is a special promotion that a lot of podcasts are doing, spearheaded by the good content creators over at NPR, who are really trying to raise awareness of podcasts and get people invested into this really cool, really dynamic medium that, hey, your Rewatchers participate in.
Absolutely. So some people still don't get podcasts and why they're so special to listen or even how to listen. But you out there can change that just with a click. Right now, think of somebody you care about. Maybe it's a friend, your mom, or maybe it's somebody that's on like a Facebook group, maybe a Highlander Facebook group that you're part of that you think they'd really love podcasting. So now all you need to do is hit that share button down at the bottom of your screen, share a Facebook page, maybe share a podcast that you're listening to right now. Maybe you're listening to this podcast. Just go on your old phone there, click the share button, and send it to a friend. It could be on a Facebook post. It could be in a text message, in an email. There's lots of ways to share stuff.
Yeah. And if they don't know how to access podcasts and, gain entry into this cool world of content, show them how. Give them a quick blow-by-blow on how to get great podcasts.
Yeah, because there's a ton of great podcasts out there, not just Highlander-centric ones. There's a lot of good stuff.
And they're free. This is, one of the greatest free sources of entertainment you can find anywhere.
And so share your love of whatever podcast you're listening to this week on Twitter, Facebook, and just add the hashtag TryPod, which is TRY pod.
And thank you guys for spreading the word about podcasts that you love.
And another great way to spread the word is by leaving a 5-star review on iTunes. Believe it or not, we're not just looking to get like great reviews and feel good about ourselves.
Though we do
love it.
We are fueled by your praise.
Yeah.
Without it, I'm not sure how I'd get up in the morning. Right. I'm so dependent.
But every review we get, whether you actually type a review or just click on 4 stars, 5 stars, whatever you want to click, 5 stars.
We'd prefer 5 stars.
Every time you do that, it helps our podcast reach other people because of the kind of algorithms that puts our podcast in people's feed and ends up being recommended. So
it literally takes 2 seconds. Just go into your phone, click on our podcast, hit that review button.
Bam.
It'll be amazing.
It's awesome. And then you spread that Highlander love all over the world.
That's right.
Yeah. So, Keith, other than our podcast, are there any fun podcasts that you've been listening to?
Oh, who do I listen to? Let's see. Every week I can't go without CBB. That's Comedy Bang Bang on the Earwolf Network, which is a very fun comedy improv podcast if you're into that sort of thing.
Yeah, with Scott Aukerman and amazing guests like Paul F. Tompkins and Jason Mantzoukas. The hits keep on trucking.
Absolutely.
That's right.
How about you, Eamon?
I don't miss any week without listening to Never Not Funny, the Jimmy Pardo podcast. And he is kind of like a pioneer of podcasting in general.
Yeah,
so
he started recording in his kitchen.
Yeah. Kyle, how about you?
All right, I'm going to go in a different direction because I was also going to name a comedy podcast. But let's do a hard stop and say I've been listening a lot to the Freakonomics podcast. I try listening to that every week. It's not all just fun and games. You can get hardcore nonfiction content, such as Freakonomics, which is all about behavioral economics and, interesting projects that involve, psychology, economics, and the cross-section between policy and thought. It's really interesting. I highly recommend it.
If you're listening to us just because you like Highlander, like maybe you like Highlander, you found our podcast, you probably have other interests. There are literally podcasts about everything.
Right.
Like you can find a podcast about something that interests you.
Yeah.
So
if you like knitting, there's a podcast about knitting.
There
There's probably
is.
a bunch
Yeah,
of podcasts
there are.
about knitting.
Yeah,
There's
so-
pottery podcasts. There's music podcasts on every genre.
So
Yeah.
just do a search and you're going to find something good, I guarantee it.
Yeah.
You're going to like the way you like.
You're going to like the way you like. I guarantee it.
Thanks
Also,
again.
there's a Men's Warehouse podcast that I listen to every week.
It's actually just an ad on repeat.
Yep, that's right.
So thanks again for spreading the word about podcasts and Highlander Rewatch.
Hashtag tripod. Hashtag rewatched.
So back in the present, I guess Midori has shown up on the boat and she's coming back to Kent.
Did you write down what the boat's called?
No, what is it called?
I didn't write it down. It has like
Don't tease us like that.
it has like a logo on the door. It's like this is obviously just somebody's boat that they like rented.
It's probably like Vancouver, like booze cruise line.
The SS Pussy Magnet.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Sorry.
Pussy magnet. What is that a reference to?
That's how Kent rolls when
nothing.
he's
Oh, okay. I thought you were referencing something.
So then Mac and Charlie end up on the boat.
Yeah,
Like,
for some,
later.
whatever
Like this is a
reason.
little bit of filler. Like
Yeah.
it's like they end up because they're like, oh, I think she came back here.
Can they just get on the dock and walk onto anybody's boat they want? Is that how?
I guess it's not like gated at all. There's
Yeah.
no guard. Open dock.
just whatever? Yeah.
So anyway, then we cut to Japan because Mac, I guess, says like, I know where they went after this. Like they must have returned home.
Yeah. So Midori's at the Koto Shrine grounds,
Right.
praying at what I guess is Hideo Koto's grave or memorial or something.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think we should play this clip and talk about a lot of what this scene is about. Okay.
Yeah.
I chose this destiny. I have to live with it. What happens to me isn't important. A great man rests here, Hideo Koto. It's because of him that the Koto name has remained great.
Not because of his money.
It's funny that a gaijin would teach me about honor.
This is a mistake, Midori. Why perpetuate it?
Honor. It isn't about making the right choice, it's about taking the consequences. And if I stay, I can regain that honor.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
So this episode, I one thing I love about this episode is how kind of focused it is on the theme, which is honor. There are like 5 characters that talk about honor. Like, so Mac, obviously, he's got to honor his promise to Koto. Then there's Hidori. He's got to honor the wishes of his lord. Like when he decides that it's like he wants to kill himself because that is the honorable thing to do, and it's what his lord wishes. So he's got a code of honor. Then Kent obviously he feels dishonored by being like a cuckolded husband. Then there's Maya.
Cuckold MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod.
And then, of course, then there is Maya, who's also feeling dishonored by the presence of a barbarian in their life. And then finally, Midori feels like she has to like honor her family name. So all these characters have like honor at the center of their motivation through this whole episode. A+.
Yeah.
Buzz. Kent's here.
His intro is insane. It's just like,
Yep.
there's a sound and it like zooms over to him and he's just standing there staring at them.
On this bridge.
And then he walks away and it's really funny. He has his own samurai sword, which I guess we know already.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, they're both fighting with... I wonder why they made them have the same sword. I feel like this could have easily been a 2-parter, too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I think maybe getting some more backstory on him, maybe. I don't know. It's super solid as a 1-parter, but I kind of wonder if there's any significance that he essentially has the same sword as Mac.
Yeah. They don't really touch on that. I kind of wish they did.
Yeah. Because it also could have been interesting to see, like, you know, I don't think we get to see his code of honor play out too well. Like, he mentions, like, I have to uphold my honor because she killed me and cheated on me.
Yeah.
Like, if like, both of them were... Because we know Mac is driven by honor constantly through this series. It would have been nice to see, like, him be the mirror of Mac and be driven by a different set of honor, and so that when they fight, it's, like, really these 2 codes of honor coming head-to-head. But maybe that was, at some point, lost on the cutting room floor or in the script.
Is this Kent's house now? The Koto Shrine?
That's a good question. I don't know. Certainly his money stopped it from being destroyed. I don't know if that means he owns it or they own it together or what the deal is.
Yeah.
To me, I'm like super on board this episode almost until this point, and this is where I think things get a little murky on Mac's end. So Midori does not want Mac to fight Kent, and she's like, don't, leave it alone. And then she's like, I release you from your vow. And Mac is like, this vow was not made to you, and you cannot release me from it. And I'm like, these double standards are out of control. Like,
this is so weird.
yeah, and it's like, so Hideo can make a vow that binds all his offspring to Mac to be protected by him, whether they want it or not, and she clearly does not want it right now.
Well, yeah, the whole thing just becomes confusing, because why did she come in the first place?
Well, I guess she just changed her mind.
Well, I guess she was originally coming to him because she needed help because she thought she had killed her husband.
Right.
The ingredient
Yeah.
that changes is that he's alive, so she decides to go back to him.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I guess maybe she thought that her reaction was wrong, that she should not have hurt him for this thing.
Well, she like...
Or she just is she scared.
Yeah.
I mean, is that also
Yeah.
part of this?
Well, she probably thought like the police were going to come for her,
Yeah.
and that's why she came.
Well, I
So,
mean, she's
okay,
scared
that
of
kinda answered
Kent.
my own
Like, that's
question,
why
yeah.
she goes back to him. Is she's just terrified of what he'll do. So it's better for me just to like be submissive and go back than run.
It's more like she has to go back because of all this honor stuff.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she lays out decent reasons. I mean,
Yeah.
at least reasons for herself that this is how she's justifying it. So yeah, so these crazy double standards that Hideo can make this promise that binds all his offspring to Mac, but then his offspring cannot like disavow that. Like they can't release that promise. It's like,
Yeah.
why? Like you're allowed to bind people in one direction, but it can't go the other way.
And also, like the deal was that they could always come to him for protection. She doesn't want his protection. She's like, you are not protecting me by doing this thing.
Right.
Don't do it.
And then
it's very weird.
Yeah, and then at some point, I feel like Mac even like explains. Like, it's like this is about. It's like, why are you explaining like mansplaining honor to her? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that like that. This kind of reeked of that. Anyway, I think this is the weakest part of the episode, just because it gets so murky, and I don't think Mac looks too good in this situation. So I wish Kent did something, or she thought it would be okay to go back, and then he does something again and was like, you know what, I'm wrong, and I don't know.
Or she just doesn't choose to go back to him.
Yeah.
You know, maybe she's just having a moment, like maybe she doesn't choose to go back. This conversation happens in a moment of like doubt where she's like thinking aloud, like maybe I should go back. Maybe it's dishonorable not to, blah, blah, blah. And like maybe he, you know, says like, no, like I'm committed to helping you. Like you're doing the right thing. And then the conflict happens. Not like, don't fucking do it. Shut up. I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Or just making like Kent come at Mac or something, so he has to fight. I don't know.
yeah, or maybe Kent won't let it go at this point. He's like,
Yeah.
like
Right.
you like Mac, you made your decision. Like you decided to challenge me. Like
Yeah.
you don't get to change your mind now.
Like, are
Because
they?
my code of honor says that like your challenge to me has been accepted. So
Yeah. Are they doing this on purpose? Like, Mac is never like absolutely in the right in any of these. I mean, sometimes he is, but
Right.
usually there's like a weird question or kind of like a inconsistency or like something. I'm wondering if that's on purpose or not.
Maybe.
I don't know. I think there were other ways to introduce that though than this.
Yeah.
Like than the way this is presented here. Because I feel like the challenge should come from like moral questions are murky and it's hard in any situation to know what the like 100% right thing to do is. Like the quandary should be the source of the uncertainty, not like Mac kind of being an asshole to some woman. Like
Yeah.
that should not be the source of like our discomfort.
Well, I think that there's an interesting question posed here too about like what is the difference between like honor and morality, because they're different, and at least the way the discussions in this show have kind of presented honor, especially in this episode, but we've seen it in Warmonger with that promise, and he was like, "This is about your vanity." What was his name? The dying.
Oh,
guy.
right. I forgot his
Yeah.
name, but yeah.
Your morality, I feel like, is something that has to do with other people. It's like, this is how I interact with you and a community. Like, decisions I make impact a group larger than me. Whereas this honor thing is a deeply, like, it is solely a personal decision. Like, only one person has this code of honor, you. And you have to, that's why you can't cover it up with a lie, is because you're the only one who has to live with your code of honor. And so Mac basing this decision on honor is, I find, like, everyone has different views on this thing. Like, she doesn't want him to do it. He does. The choice he makes is not the moral choice. He makes the honorable choice, which in some ways is selfish.
Yeah.
Just because his code of honor does not line up with hers.
Yeah, that is an interesting tension. I agree with like 80% of what you said about like honor being personal, but it's also a communal thing. Like you're also dishonored in the eyes of your peers, in the eyes of the community.
Yes.
Like there is,
but we do have shared principles, I think, that we consider honorable.
right. But then there is still fundamentally an internalization
Right.
component that is like the bedrock of the whole thing.
The other thing is, like, they're both on holy ground.
But they move.
Oh, okay.
They move, but like,
They leave the shrine.
Okay.
if Matt could have like not done this and stayed there so they couldn't fight, like, he makes the decision to like go off holy ground and like settle this with this guy against everyone's wishes. Like, like, it's definitely weird. It's just like, this is something I, Mac, am going to do because I want to.
Yeah, no one's asking you to do this.
Yeah, at this point.
And like, and it doesn't seem like Kent would have forced the issue.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like if Mac just said like, okay, I'm going back home, it seems like Kent would have said, see ya. Don't let the
Right.
door hit you on the way out.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the good stuff about Highlander. Like, even though it is murky territory, it gives you lots of stuff to think about as a viewer or talk about, like, with your friends and family when you watch it. So it's good stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think we've all signed on very much to the David Abramowitz quote, like the pinnacle of Highlander is like a Talmudic discussion with ass kicking.
This episode has everything.
Yeah.
This ticks all the boxes of a like truly great Highlander episode, and that's
We
good
got
stuff.
a fun sword fight. We got cool flashbacks. We have like a really good moral question, and it explores it like fantastically.
Yeah.
And it has Charlie.
It has great performances, super good bromance.
Yeah.
No Maurice though. That's a
Wee.
column in the con column. What did I just say?
That's a sub column
God.
within another column.
Let's talk
That
about
comment was a con.
let's talk about this fight.
Yes,
Yeah.
let's.
So it should be noted that this is, again, the first fight, or the first episode choreographed by F. Braun McAsh. Go back and listen to our Crossing Swords interview with him and Anthony DeLongis. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But this is the first episode he did, and I think it's very apparent, his choreography style. Especially, I think you could really notice a lot of it on the beach in that very first fight. Like, the fight just seems more kinetic. It feels grounded a little more, like where I feel like Bob Anderson's style is very theatrical. And Efron comes from that school as well, but Efron also, I feel like, I don't want to speak for him, but also comes from a very practical sense of studying real-world weaponry and how does this stuff function in reality.
Yeah, not just on a stage.
Not just on the stage. And so, the fight feels really kinetic, and it's good stuff.
It is.
So one of the craziest moves Duncan does is he catches a blade.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's at the end. That's like the final bit of this fight. But how do we feel about this fight in general as it's going? Because like they start on the beach, they work their way into the water. There's this very weird slow-mo
Yeah, the slow-mo is
motion,
weird. Yeah.
which I did not love and was confused as to why it was part of it. It definitely didn't enhance my experience of this fight.
I feel like they were just doing it to give it some extra juice or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not just to stretch it to 43 minutes.
Yeah.
Right.
Or that.
I don't know. We need that extra minute and a half for the European cut. Let's add the slow-mo in.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was odd. So then they make it back up onto the beach, and they're fighting on the rocks. It's like some real fast sword play, and Mac's sword gets like slammed down into the rocks, and he gets disarmed, which is kind of awesome. And
He gets like stuck in the rock.
Yeah, things are looking rough for Mac here. But then Keith, what happens?
So Mac catches the blade in midair, and we should listen to the man himself, Efron McAsh, talk about this.
Ooh.
When I was first hired on Highlander, I was on a show-to-show contract, so obviously you have to be able to slot into a family that already exists, and if Adrian couldn't work with you for any reason at all, obviously you wouldn't be able to hang around. In Samurai, I wanted to have Adrian at some kind of, I wouldn't say disability, but it was obvious that he could die within the next second, so I had been experimenting with a move that I had seen in my study of the Japanese sword, and it's the ability to catch the blade in between the palms. Now, obviously, you're not actually seizing the blade, because that would pretty much put paid to your hands. What you're doing is you're clapping the inside heel of the hand against the spine of the blade, which is above the cutting edge. And I tried it a couple of times, just holding the sword and having a friend of mine increase pressure towards me to see, can you actually hold it? And then I had my friend slowly building up speed, actually thrusting the sword at me, and me trying to actually catch the sword. And when I convinced myself that it was physically possible to do this, I then put it into the choreography, where MacLeod gets his sword blade caught in between two rocks, knows he can't get it out in time, simply catches his opponent's blade, and then goes into a hand technique on his opponent's arms that allows him to strip the sword away from him, reverse it, and then run him through. So it was kind of a nifty way of ending the fight rather than the ways that had been used in previous episodes.
That's awesome. And you see again like that dedication to practicality there, that like before you'd put it in, he's like, let's see if this is like fucking conceivable. Because that was the first question I had. I was like, can you do this? Or is your hand just going to get shredded?
Yeah. That was like really fascinating to hear. Duncan doesn't actually do that if you look at the footage.
Yeah, it doesn't quite.
He just kind of claps his hand on it.
Yeah.
But that's awesome.
But it seems like it is possible.
Also, I had forgotten until we just rewatched that clip And again, a good reminder of how like fast and kind of furious this fight was. When his sword goes down to the rock, there's a lightning burst sound
really?
effect. It's just like when his sword hits.
When he like flips the sword around, it's awesome.
Yeah, it is cool.
Yeah, this is rad.
This is good. So how does this episode end?
With water jizzing all over Duncan MacLeod's body
What?
for the quickening.
Yeah.
Like when the quickening happens, like water shoots up in the air and sprinkles on his shirt, and then you can see like every muscle and like it's gratuitous.
Yeah. There's a lot of daytime quickenings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
A lot of them.
So that's pretty much the episode.
They then like light a candle on the grave to send it out.
There's something I wanted to mention. When Mac pulls his sword out, Midori is like, "Hey, wait a minute. That's my family sword. How do you know what it looks like?"
Right. I thought the same thing.
There's no photography.
I guess maybe there was someone did a drawing of it.
Is there a drawing? That's
not?
insane.
It is weird.
I did
but
think the same thing.
Like that you would remember that drawing, so like maybe she would. I don't know. I thought that was weird.
Yeah.
I
good
mean,
point.
they get the impression that this sword is like of particular importance.
It's like
Sure.
legendary status.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe there's some writing about it or whatever.
Yeah.
Or it's just described throughout the family.
Yeah.
Not sure. But yeah, this fight scene was amazing. The episode's really good. And yet, I think it could be better.
So, Kyle, you mentioned a 20% increase in quality of this episode. So how would you prescribe that happen?
All right. So first order of business, it struck me as this fight was going on. I was like, is this the last fucking samurai? Are they Tom Cruise? The samurai is one of these two white guys. Like, I think really it's supposed to be Hideo.
Yeah.
Is supposed to be it. But it's got this very like Tom Cruise-y like feel.
Right.
Was point one. So I think the first thing I would do is Ken should be Asian.
Okay.
Like he
Yeah.
should actually be Japanese to like avoid that like odd bit. Second point, they should know each other in the past. This is how I would have done this to like amp up the tension on the honor portion of it, and also to give a motivation to Kent doing some of the things he does throughout this episode. Those riders approach, one of them is Kent. He's coming to deliver a message from the Shogun. And he has the conversation with Hideo. Afterwards, he then talks to this other immortal. And it's like, look, he found me. Anyone else would have been dead. Like, this is special. Like, are we going to have beef? Don't do it. And he says, no, because of, like, honor and justice. Like, this is the Lord's order. It must be carried out without exception. And that's the tension. He's like, no, the letter of the thing is this. Anything less is dishonorable. We're done here. Like, and if you interfere, we're going to have a problem. Otherwise, you can go. So this happens. Hideo dies. That's that. They then see each other again. Over time, this like dedication to like the kind of like a brutal, ruthless interpretation of what honor demands doesn't mesh well in the 21st century. So it's this, even if they wanted to play with this whole like cuckold scenario, it's like his honor over the hundreds of years has not changed. So he's like, I must kill him to clean the stain on my honor.
Right.
It's not malicious. It's just what must happen.
Very much like Mako has this sort of problem where his code of the law doesn't really jive too well with the subtleties of the 20th century or the modern era.
Right. And then he confesses to her, he's like, I killed this guy. As far as I'm concerned, that satisfies your dishonor to me. That's the situation. She freaks out because obviously that's kind of a crazy thing to do in the 21st century.
Right.
She still kills him, and then the same problem reemerges. Like, he doesn't want to possess her again, but she has attempted to kill him in a way that, like, must be answered.
Right.
She has to be punished for this because she tried to kill me and betrayed me. And,
Right.
like, it's not necessarily that he's angry about it, but that's what must happen.
Right.
And then Max steps in and it's like, no, like, I have to protect her. Like, she messed up, but, like, I am pledged to do this thing.
Right.
And that's the collision course. And, like, everything else kind of stays intact, but his position is not inherently unreasonable, though incompatible with the 21st century, and then they have to fight about it.
Yeah.
And then that solves the problem where you have to, like, mansplain honor to Midori because she is still threatened. And granted, she tried to kill him. Like, she's not being pursued unreasonably necessarily, but, like, there's more, like, there's ambiguity around her situation. And then they just have to fight for their sense of honor, and only one of them can make it.
Yeah, I like having the honor be at stake for both characters. As you said, like, they're on a collision course. Like, these two codes of honor will inevitably collide with each other.
Right. And I think that's I think would have allayed a lot of our concerns about this episode and would have just like put a nice thematic bow on the whole thing. But it is very good. And
Yeah.
I like the actor who played the villain
he's
too.
great.
He does a phenomenal job. So it's
Yeah.
monkeying with it too much is maybe courting disaster.
I had a note, speaking of the villain, like, I feel like the villain is in some ways kind of weak. I mean, but the actor completely crushes it, and he also doesn't, the way this episode is structured, he doesn't need too much motivation. I agree with you, Kyle, that like those things would make it better, but I think he really serves his purpose well, and the actor portrays him so well. Like, he reminds me a lot of the Alexei character, where it was like,
oh yeah,
kind
which
of
is
like
bullshit. The character's bullshit, but the villain's amazing.
Yeah, but he was
Yeah.
amazing just
Yeah.
because he brought so much like style to it, and this guy brings so much like threatening, this threatening nuance to it, which is pretty good. So
yeah.
Kyle's point also just made me think of, we know nothing about this guy as an immortal.
no,
Like, we don't know how old he is. Like, we don't know what his story is at all.
No.
So that's a great point. And yeah, why isn't he Japanese?
I
That's
don't-
a great point.
Yeah, maybe that just like bothered me more optically, seeing these two guys fight these two white guys fighting with like priceless samurai swords on like the
Yeah.
beaches of Japan, and it's
Yeah.
like, where's Tom Cruise? Like,
Yeah.
well, perhaps it's time for some Watcher Chronicles if we want to learn a little bit more about Michael Kent.
Oh, yeah.
Since we didn't get too much from the episode. So Michael Kent was first born in 1866 in Topeka, Kansas.
Topeka, Kansas, perfect.
His first death was in 1911. He was caught in a threshing machine. His
Jesus.
first teacher was Orville Weber. Cultural affiliation is American. His occupation is a commodities broker. Let's see, to read about him. So this is
He
from-
really reads as a commodities broker.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Because most commodities brokers have goons, right?
Yeah.
Hey,
They're
I need.
advisors, man. They're financial advisors.
Yeah.
Slash
I want
goon.
to buy 6 tons of pork belly. Goon number 1.
Well, from his Watcher Chronicle, Kyle, the irony that one can ride pork futures.
No way.
I swear.
Are you fucking kidding
I
me?
swear.
I
You're the
can't
best
believe that
to-
happened.
around.
Pork futures and soybean forecasts to the penthouse in the legendary Ginza district of Tokyo was never lost on Michael Kent. Even while Nippon Kent Enterprises was the foremost company at both the Tokyo Exchange and the Chicago Board of Trade, Kent, in many ways, still viewed himself as the poorly educated pig farmer he was at the time of his first death. And that self-image haunted him. Everything he had done since that first death, education, fine clothes, trophy wives, was an attempt to flee that image. Kent was intense, extremely serious to the point of humorless, driven to succeed at any price. He had little interest in taking heads, preferred to play the game of business. But true to his nature, he made sure he had the best sword and the best training money could buy. Not good enough, it turned out.
Isn't Superman from Kansas?
That's right.
Yes.
And his name is Clark Kent.
Oh, man.
Shit.
Shit.
So Michael Kent is Superman's brother. Or grandpa or whatever.
Grandpa.
Distant cousin.
Yeah, that's
Amazing.
good. Worlds collide.
World's finest collide. Did we learn any lessons from Mac today? I feel like we did.
It's time for...
Fighting immortals will give you a Mac attack. You ought to know by now. You ought to know by now. Mac attack. The lesson where, not every week, but every once in a while, we
Every
stop
now
to
and then.
reflect on the lessons we learned from Duncan MacLeod. Eamon, what did you learn from Duncan MacLeod this week?
I learned that
We just talked like so much about the lessons we learned from this episode,
know.
and now we can't distill them.
I learned that a promise is still a promise, even though nobody wants you to go through with it.
Yeah, I was to say, I learned that only a man can make an eternal vow. A woman can't release you from it.
Boy.
Sorry,
yeah.
Mac, that was too much.
Yeah. It was rough. I'm like, now that we talk about it, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about the ending of this episode.
I mean, I'm a little upset by it, frankly.
I mean,
'cause
Kent is a murderer.
Yeah.
So there's that.
that is definitively not why Mac kills him.
I mean, in any other episode, the way this plays out ends up going fine. Like, Midori is like, I still don't want to be with him, and Mac does what needs to be done. And I think as viewers, we're all like, okay, like, that guy was shit. Mac is protecting her. But, like, the turn at the end where she's like, do not do this. It is not what I want, and that is not how I want to preserve my honor.
and you're only involved in this because she came to you.
Yeah.
That becomes a huge wrench in the works.
Mac also taught us to let your friend get beat up if it's good for a joke.
Yes,
It's a
and
great.
It was.
It is
good.
It is a
Yeah,
great
he was
joke,
right.
though.
Yeah.
Wise
It's
as always, this will be comedic gold.
Yeah,
Eat it, Charlie.
yeah. Oh, Charlie.
Charlie.
So
I learned today. I learned from Mac that all Charlie's parts work.
Hey, all the parts work.
oh boy,
We should do this more often.
guys, I think it's been a little while since we played a game.
Not true. It's been a week since we played a game.
All right, we maybe played a game on the Highlander 2 podcast. It's hard to tell. It seems like it's been a while. But
been a while.
What it has been a while since we've talked about is Highlander 1.
Oh yeah.
What's this now?
Yeah, Highlander 1. So since we've just finished Highlander 2, I thought it might be fun to do a little game where we revisit Highlander 1. So we're going to play a game of It's a Kind of Clue. We're going to play
Kinda Clue.
We're going to play It's a Kind of Clue, Highlander 1 style. So
Ooh.
I'm going to give you both some cards.
Oh, God.
Right.
Oh, you're so good at this one, Eamon.
This
And
is the one where I said the answer every time.
every
I
single
gave a
time.
clue.
Every single time.
I'm sweating right now, audience.
So the only rules are you can give clues about the name or place or whatever the clue is on the card or the item is on the card. You just can't say that thing itself or a part of that word itself.
Got that rule, Eamon? You have that one? You can't say what's on
And
the card.
what is the time limit? I think we did 60 seconds.
We did a minute last time, and we
Minute?
each had like 7.
Right. All right, guys. So,
Very stressed.
all right. So when I start the clock, you're going to turn this over and you're going to be giving these clues to Eamon. Ready. Time starts now.
Second unit director, we interviewed him.
Andy Armstrong.
Yes. This was the struggle between the United States and the Soviet Union that was going on at the time.
Cold War.
This is the wrestling act in the very beginning.
Oh, shit.
It's it's sung by that Alabama band.
Nope. Pass. The Fabulous Freebirds?
There it was.
Fuck.
Connor wears this footwear the entire time.
Oh, Adidas tennis shoes.
What color are they?
White.
I'm going to give you that one. This is a stone structure in the Highlands.
Oh, Stonehenge? Castle?
Yeah. This is a Scottish instrument.
Bagpipes.
This is the studio where it's filmed at the end.
Silver Cup.
Yeah. Well done.
Nice.
Got 'em
Very
all.
good. You got 7. And you got the fabulous, and you got them all done in the ahead of time.
Nice.
And you got
Ooh.
Fabulous Freebirds because I gave you that one because you
You
got it
got
wrong
wrong
last
Yeah. And I almost got
did
it
it
wrong
again.
this time. Yeah. Very generous for giving me that point because I passed on it. All right, Kyle, get ready for me to give you all the answers.
How'd you guys do at home, listeners?
Yeah.
Write us in and tell us your score. We'll read them aloud. We won't.
Yeah, it'll just be a series of numbers.
Yep.
We
5,
won't.
6. This guy's an idiot. 1.
All right, Eamon, are you ready to give clues to Kyle?
There can be only one.
What's the name of the game again?
It's a kind of clue.
It's a kind of clue.
Kinda
That's
Clue.
It's a sloppy play on It's a Kind of Magic.
very sloppy.
Then why did everyone sign on to it if it's so sloppy?
Because we need something.
Yeah,
Sloppy
all right.
seconds in honor of this episode.
Gross.
Yep.
All right, Piper Akira.
Yeah.
All right, Eamon, are you ready to give these clues to Kyle?
Yes.
And 3, 2, 1.
He did the music for Highlander 1.
Michael Kamen.
This is a movie about an evil pig that Russell Mulcahy
Razorback.
directed. This is a member of Queen who wrote music for this movie. I don't remember which. Before the month before June is
May.
Yep. And the first name is I'm just going to give you that one. This is the coat that Connor MacLeod wears.
Trench coat.
Yep. This is the name of the woman that comes in and entertains the Kurgan.
Candy.
That's right. This is Ballsy.
Dragon.
Yep.
Yeah. Good clue.
This is something that Connor's compatriots and Connor wears.
Kilts?
Yep. And that's it. You did it.
Very good.
What is his first name?
Brian May.
It's Brian May.
The
That was a
guitarist.
hard- That was a hard one.
I know. I was trying to switch it up a little. That was probably
Yeah.
the trickiest one in the whole bunch.
I don't know how I could have gotten you to say Brian. I don't know what clue
I guess, yeah.
that could be.
The
But
dog on Family Guy.
oh, that's a
Yeah,
good
there
one.
you go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Dinner and a Family Guy.
Good job, guys.
Yeah, that was fun.
Points.
That was a good one.
Fun time. So, at the end of the day, we always rate these episodes out of 5. Kyle, how many out of 5 slices of raw octopus would you give this episode?
This gets 4.5 slices of raw octopus from me.
Very good.
I think it would have hit 5 if not for that discussion at the end, frankly. But it's very good overall.
Eamon, how many out of 5 jealous cuckolded husbands would you give this?
I think I have to go with Kyle's 4.5 cucks for this episode.
4.5
cucks. See, I'm a thought leader.
And then out of 5 Scottish bodies, I would give this, I think I might go the full 5. I was really debating
full
this.
Monty.
The full 5 on this one.
It's the best episode of this show we've seen.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any arguing that.
And also, like, I don't know, I worry, like, giving a full 5, it's like, I don't know. Is any episode ever perfect? But
no.
This gets as close as most of these episodes can get. So I'm giving it 5. This is a must-see.
Is there better episodes than this to come?
There's some very good episodes. But as we said,
up.
this one ticks all those boxes really well. So, good stuff.
Yeah, it's...
write us in this week. Tell us what you think the honorable thing to do and what would the moral thing to do have been in this situation.
If they're different, let us know.
Yeah. Would these things have not been the same? It's good stuff. Davis Panzer has a really cool poster that's inspired by this episode. Davis Panzer put together a really nice poster of Duncan MacLeod. It's kind of like a side story to this episode, which is pretty cool. So,
yeah, it's him in his Japanese garb, wielding his sword. It's a cool piece of art.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So next week, join us for episode 2 of season 3, In the Line of Fire. I can't wait to talk about this one. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, I love that episode. So sign up. It's going to be great.
Absolutely. So thanks for joining us. I've been one of your rewatchers. I'm Keith.
This is Kyle.
This is Eamon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
See you.
Yeah, and then he just starts finger blasting
Very
her.
rapey and gross. And then I'm just like, I don't know. You want her to take a shower first?
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh, God.
You want her to take a shower first.
I don't want Akira's remnants on me.
Oh, this is why the viewers tune in.
That's right.